Hello, this is Jonathan with Cleanerwatt, and I wanted to take a moment today to take you through the latest surprise earnings with Tesla Q3 2019, and I want to talk about what did the analysts miss. So, if you were paying attention, the day before the Tesla released their earnings, you saw articles like this Wall Street Journal article that said Tesla headed for another quarterly loss, what to watch. And so most people, even people that are bulls on the Tesla stock, expected a little bit of a loss this quarter, Q3 2019. But yet, when Tesla released their earnings, they had a profit instead. And so you'll notice here, as soon as Tesla released that, the next day, and of course after hours earnings, you saw a huge jump there, a $45 jump, and then of course the next day you saw about another $20-some jump as well. So the market was obviously very surprised at what Tesla pulled out of their hat this particular quarter. So if you look at quarter 1, 2, and 3 of 2019, you'll see that the earnings per share and what the analysts have been projecting has been off quite a bit, but nothing more than quarter 3. Quarter 3 was off by an incredible margin. So you see here, and I pulled this information from Google, so Google has aggregated this data, and they say that the average of the analysts that they are quoting here expected that there would be a 23-cent loss per share there on the Tesla stock, but instead there is an earnings of $1.86 per share, and of course that's 904% off. That's a huge difference, and so I wanted to talk about how that happened. What did the analysts miss, and what can we do about projecting this stuff in the future? So I think one of the first reasons that this was missed, and I think this is probably the biggest reason that the analysts missed their estimates and the facts that Tesla would actually make money, not lose money, was the fact that they improved their automotive gross margin and net margin. And so that's huge. When you're trying to project what a company is making and you're trying to project their income for the year, it's of course important to know what their margin is. And so we knew several weeks ago, we knew what the deliveries were, and we kind of knew roughly the mix of how many S's, how many X's, how many 3s, but we didn't expect the margin to be quite this high. And so Tesla was able to just use their knowledge to have a lot more efficiencies in their manufacturing process and in their organizational process, and they were able to have a huge jump in margin. And so this is definitely a huge reason why they were profitable this quarter and why they surprised the analysts. Another reason, and I think this is something that people are not factoring in when they are analyzing Tesla and trying to figure out what it's worth and trying to figure out what it's going to make quarter to quarter, is they're not realizing that Tesla has done an accounting method with their autopilot income where they set it aside for the full self-driving, and they only actually put it into the profits as they release features. And they released one of the first full self-driving features with version 10 of the software, and that was Smart Summon, and they recognized $30 million of profit this quarter from that. And so that's, of course, going to raise some of the profit just right there in the bottom line. It's also going to raise the margin on your automotive production. So that's partially what we saw there, is this autopilot income being realized, which I think was not factored in to the equation. Another big one, and this is something that was mentioned multiple times in the earnings letter that was released, the Q3 earnings letter, is their operational efficiencies. And so some of those, and these are the quotes that are pulled directly from the earnings report. And this first quote, and they said, "This year our focus has been cost control and preparing for our next phase of growth." Of course, if you've been following Tesla, you know there's been some moves that they've been doing. Some of them have been maybe not so clean and not so well done, like when they talked about closing down all their retail locations, and of course they backpedaled that and changed that that very quickly. But something like that, they're really working towards cost control. And most of this has actually been good, and it's been a positive thing for the company. Another thing they mention in the second quote, additionally, operating expenses are at the lowest level since Model 3 production started. And keep in mind, with this being said, they're producing several new cars right at the moment. They're ramping up. They're getting ready for the production for the Model Y. They're at the Fremont factory. They are preparing to make the Semi at the end of next year. They're preparing to make the Roadster sometime probably in 2021. And, of course, they're looking forward to other new products that maybe we haven't even heard of yet, like the truck. We know that's coming and unveiling, and they're working on that as well. And so there's so many big things, but they are actually at operational expenses being super low. And this has allowed them to remove substantial costs from their business, as it says at the end of that quote. And then another one that I think is really important is that they have dramatically improved the pace of execution and capital efficiency of new production lines. And this is shown here in Gigafactory Shanghai, which was built in 10 months. You know, if you saw the picture, it was literally a muddy field 10 months ago, and now it's a production facility. And it was 65% less than the U.S. Model 3 production system. And so they've learned a lot. That's one thing Tesla does. They learn from their production mistakes, and they learn from their mistakes, and they are always looking to move forward and be more efficient. This is something Tesla is very good at, and why I believe they're going to be successful. Another reason I think that the analyst missed their estimates is because they didn't expect Tesla Solar to grow. And so this year, and I should say this quarter, they had a record storage deployment of 477 megawatt hours, which is a huge increase. And then, of course, they had a 48% solar growth quarter over quarter. And so they have more batteries available for the storage systems, the Tesla Powerwall, and other commercial applications where they have the bigger power plant type setups, backup power setups for power plants. And so they had the record deployment of the power packs, and they had record solar growth. Of course, that increased the profit on the solar business, which was pretty important. So those are the reasons I believe why Tesla surprised the analyst and why they had a profitable quarter. And so some of the highlights from this profitable quarter, and some of the highlights from Q3 2019 is that their cash on hand increased by $383 million this quarter, and they now have $5.3 billion of cash on hand. And so they're at a good position to move forward with new products and to weather any rough areas with the economy and other things like that. They made profit of $261 million, and that is going to be the gross profit, and that means net profit after you take out other expenses and other things. That net profit at the end of the day with that GAAP income is $143 million. And that is an amazing quarter for Tesla as they move forward. Of course, that will grow, and I expect to see them be very profitable in the coming future. And so there's many exciting things for Tesla, and I believe there's many things, but some of the things I want us to think about, if you're an investor in Tesla and you're investing in the stock, you of course realize that there's a lot of analysts out there always trying to analyze a stock, and they're often wrong. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to attack analysts. I'm just trying to say that Tesla is a little bit different kind of a company. There are factors in this company and things in this company that are hard to understand unless you're Elon Musk or you are in his close circle there. There are things that we don't even know about yet. There are all kinds of things that are going on. And of course, there are exciting things coming. So as you're trying to figure out if Tesla stock's worth a purchase or not, some of the things you want to keep in mind are the fact that as they released in the earnings letter, the Model Y is ahead of schedule, and that they should release that by summer 2020. That car should be out and on the road in summer 2020. Of course, that's moved up 3 or 4 months from the previous estimates. that they gave, and Elon said they might even beat that schedule. Now, keep in mind, Elon also said when they did the earnings call, he also said that he expects the Model Y to sell more vehicles than the S, the X, and the 3 combined. This crossover market, this small SUV market, is incredibly big. It's the fastest growing segment in the automotive industry, and the Model Y is going to be an amazing vehicle, and so that's going to be a big one. That's definitely going to be a huge profit maker, especially since it shares 75% or so of the parts with the Model 3, and they are getting really good at making the Model 3, so the Model Y will not be very hard to ramp up. Of course, there's going to be some excitement at the end of 2020 when they mentioned they should release a limited amount of Tesla semis and start releasing those going forward. Of course, autopilot feature complete. Elon Musk has said they are on track, and he hopes that they will get to feature complete autopilot by the end of 2019. Of course, it won't be approved by regulators, and it won't be to the point where you can just let it go by itself and fall asleep. Elon said they hope to have that by the end of 2020, but it should be feature complete. That meaning all the features that are in autopilot to make it full self-driving will be there. And it'll just be some tweaking and some little things like that, and some proving it. Then, of course, we have the Tesla truck unveiling. That should be in the coming weeks. We should learn about that sometime in November. That, of course, Tesla solar roof, they just launched the new version of that yesterday. And the new version of that is going to be exciting to see as they start mass producing the Tesla solar roof. That's been something that's been big for Tesla Energy, and I think that's really going to push it forward to a whole nother level that we haven't seen. Of course, we know Tesla Gigafactory 3 in China has started producing a few cars. They mentioned that they've had a few cars go all through the whole process. And they feel like they can make quite a bit of cars by the end of this year. And so I would not be surprised if by the end of this year, for the last couple months, maybe November, December, we see several thousand Model 3s come out of Gigafactory 3 in China, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 each month. And we'll just see. We'll see what happens there. But it's exciting that that's happening, and it's amazing how quick that's going. And then, of course, the announcement of Gigafactory 4 in Europe, they mentioned that they're going to announce that location coming up in the coming months, and of course then build that factory and then be producing cars in that, hopefully 2021, 2022. And so we're just a few years away from that. So these are just a few of the things, and of course I haven't covered everything. There's more exciting things that are coming, but these are just some of the things that I'm looking at as I'm trying to value Tesla stock and think about it in the future. And you know what? At the end of the day, no one can predict any company completely. No one can predict Tesla completely. It's like trying to tell a fortune. But if you can invest money in a company that is doing all these exciting things, that's run by a very exciting and passionate CEO, doing working in a business that's actually making a difference in the world, then I think it's a great idea. Now, once again, I'm not trying to give stock advice. I'm not trying to give investment advice. I'm just trying to give my opinion. And of course, I do hold stock in Tesla. And anything that's mentioned here is not investment advice. I am not encouraging you or discouraging you from any investment decisions. I'm just trying to give you the information here. So thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for spending time to come all the way through the end. If you liked this video and you want more content like this, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And also, if you click the bell icon, then you'll know when I release new videos of Tesla information, as well as other electric cars and clean energy and things like that on this channel. Thank you so much.